Good morning, everybody. Glad to have you back here with me today. And hope you've had a good week. And if you'd like to follow along, if you'd look, we'll be in the 29th chapter, getting in the 11th verse. And we will be continuing to look at the difference in how a wise man and a foolish man behaves in society. This section we're going to look at, one of the primary emphasis is on leadership. Whether you are a king or queen or president or the leader in your home or the manager at work, wherever. And all of us have some measure of leadership. And so this is a section that tells us that our society, our world would be much better if people would utilize God given wisdom. And so, beginning in verse 11, he says, "A fool uttereth all his mind, but a wise man keepeth it in till afterwards." A wise man knows that you don't say everything you know. Sometimes you have to hold back what you're thinking. Sometimes you don't necessarily say everything. It's just foolish, according to this proverb, for us to speak everything that runs through our mind. And so we have to be careful that we choose our words wisely and carefully. Sometimes, and probably all of us have experienced the damage that can come from not obeying the wisdom in this proverb. If a ruler hearken to lies, all his servants are wicked. A leader in any position who listens to if you're unwise enough, this is the way I read this. If you're unwise enough to listen to unwise people, you're doubly unwise. That a ruler, a person in leadership, has to be cautious that the information they're getting is true, that we trust the right people, that we don't accept lies, we don't tolerate lies. We set a very high standard in our own life and for those who are around us. The poor and the deceitful man meet together. The Lord lighteneth both their eyes. A little hard to see exactly what's being said by those words, but basically, a wicked man takes advantage of poor people. That he doesn't that he doesn't he takes advantage of them. He uses them. He thinks he's better than they are. Has a proud attitude towards them, and treats the less fortunate poorly. And we have seen some form of that proverb a number of times. The king that faithfully judgeth the poor, his throne shall be established forever. Here we see the opposite extreme of that a wise man, a righteous leader, treats the poor fairly. He doesn't treat, because they're poor, less fortunate, he doesn't treat them any worse or any less than anyone else who he is responsible for. The rod and reproof give wisdom, but a child left to himself bringeth his mother to shame. A wise man teaches his children, corrects his children. A foolish man allows his children to do as they please and ultimately brings shame to his parents. When the wicked are multiplied, transgression increaseth, but the righteous shall see their fall. Wicked people spread sin. They just, wicked people are contagious. Wickedness is contagious, and sin spreads. whereas the righteous man, he says, will ultimately see the wicked man be judged, see him fall and be punished for that wickedness. Correct thy son, and he shall give thee rest. Yea, he shall give delight unto thy soul. Another passage about correcting a child. That a wise parent knows that disciplining their children will ultimately bring joy and happiness to both of their lives. Again, the sons and daughters, the children may not like it at the time, but most adults who look back at their life would say, I'm thankful that I had a parent who was willing to correct me and teach me right from wrong. Verse 18, where there is no vision, the people perish, but he that keepeth the law, happy is he. This again is a very familiar proverb, where again the righteous man is happy because he's continuing to follow the law of God. He's following the vision or the divine revelation from God that we have in His Word. A servant will not be corrected by words, for though he understand, he will not answer. A servant, servants, wise employers correct and teach their employees. We don't allow our employees to run rampant. They're corrected as well. Seest thou a man that is hasty in his words? There's more hope of a fool than him. So we talked about this several times. That again, we talked about it a few minutes ago. Being careful to control our speech. Someone who doesn't know to control their words, that's worse than foolishness. They have less hope than a foolish man. He that delicately bringeth up his servant from a child, still have him become his son at the length. Here, that he's saying to us that we, again, a foolish employer allows his employees to run rampant, doesn't exercise any discipline or control over them at all. An angry man stirreth up strife, and a furious man aboundeth in transgression. Foolish man just stirs up trouble, makes things worse, and brings up all types of sin that leads to anger. A man's pride shall bring him low, but honor shall uphold the humble in spirit. The righteous man, humility is something that's not really all that much respected in our society today. But here the Bible tells us that the righteous man, God honors the man who is humble in his life. Whoso is a partner with a thief hateth his own soul. He heareth cursing and betrayeth it not. The wicked man gets into cahoots with the thief, and causes himself to be found guilty, and then he can't say anything about it. Jewish law said that if you knew about a crime and you didn't tell it, you were guilty of the same crime. And in God's eyes, when you help a thief, you bring judgment on yourself. And so again, we just have a list here of things, and I hope we've had to kind of run through them quickly. I hope you'll go back over them and look at them carefully. It's just a list of the behavior that God approves of, that God considers to be acceptable in society. Controlling our temper, controlling our children, those types of things. And so this is just a good framework for us of how to be good and wise influencers, that we influence others for good by living a righteous, wise life. All right. Have a good day, and we'll see you back here Monday morning.